Good morning, guys. It is very early, but I'm not going to let that keep me down because today we are doing something that I've wanted to do for such a long time. Today I am flying from Munich via London back to Chicago in British Airways first class. That's right, first class. Not business class flights like we usually do, but first class flights. And this is actually our first class flight. We just don't get very many opportunities to do something like this, especially out of Germany to get back to the US. There's just not that many great options. Lufthansa is extremely expensive, but I'll show you today how I got this first class flight for less than an economy ticket. I'm so excited for this flight today. And it'll be nice too going through London and seeing what that transfer experience is like when you're in first class, as well as the lounge that you're supposed to get, the Concorde room. Very excited to experience that. I've heard mixed reviews, but we'll see.
I took the train from Munich to the airport, which usually takes about 45 minutes from the central station. The trip went quick, and I just couldn't get over what a beautiful day this was for flying. Eventually, we pulled into the station, and I made my way towards the British Airways check-in area.
Alright, made it to Munich airport. God, why is it always so stifling and hot on that train? Anyway, so I've never really been to Terminal 1 here, but I know that it's split into basically 5 separate mini terminals. So I'm looking for Terminal B for the British Airways check-in, and I think I'm going the right way. Wow, okay, this is actually awesome. B is right here, right by the train station entrance. So I do think we did actually fly with Air France out of here once before, but that was all the way in E, I think, so we had to walk for ages. But anyway, we're here, so we'll get checked in, and then hopefully get lounge access here. Alright, so I knew this terminal would be the death of me. So I am actually in the wrong check-in area. It's going to depart from B gates, but check-in is in Terminal 1A, which was not very clear on the sign, so let's head over there. And I'm very glad that it's not that terminal, because the wait in security there was over an hour long, and I don't have that kind of time. Oh, this is much better, much quieter.
I reached the counter and checked in, only to learn some more annoying news.
Well, there was a reason that security was so light in the 1A terminal. It's because we have to go back out, go through B security, and then we'll have access to the lounge and everything. I'm a little bit worried now, because the wait for B security when I was in there before was an hour long, and my flight boards at 10:15, and it is 9:15, so with that math I should be walking right onto the flight, which is not how I wanted to start the morning, but we'll see how it goes. And there were people going through A security, so I don't know why we have to get rerouted out to B.
Unfortunately, when I returned to Terminal 1B, the security line was still massive.
Wow, guys, that was an absolutely terrible security experience. We were in the business class fast track line, and it took 42 minutes. Now, if you're in the US, that probably doesn't seem like a lot because you have to deal with TSA. London, of course, is always a nightmare. But 42 minutes for a fast track line is absolutely ridiculous. There were people, I'm sure, in the economy line for over an hour, almost an hour and a half. So we're going to head up to the lounge now. We do have access to the Airport Lounge World or Airport World Lounge, whatever it is. There actually used to be a British Airways lounge here in Terminal 1, but they got rid of that several years ago, and so now there's just a contract lounge. So we'll see what's up there. We only have like 15 minutes before our flight starts boarding, but I really need a coffee. I want to get a coffee and a water, and then we'll head down to the gate.
I made my way up to the Airport Lounge World on the mezzanine level of the B gate area of Terminal 1. There are 2 lounges in Terminal 1B, including this lounge and an Emirates lounge. In the Schengen area, there are 2 additional lounges in Terminal 1D, a KLM lounge and another contract lounge, the Airport Lounge Europe. BA only contract with Airport Lounge World, but if you have a priority pass, you can also get into the KLM lounge as well as the Airport Lounge Europe. Alright guys, down from the lounge. It was okay. I mean, it has all the trappings of a regular contract lounge that you would expect. Nothing too great, a few little items for breakfast and some drinks, of course. So I got a coffee, fueled up, ready to go. So we're going to head over to the gate B17 to board our flight to London. And a lot has actually happened in this video already that I wasn't planning on, so I think this will be a video of leg one of this journey, which will be in Club Europe, if you're not familiar with BA's numbering system. Club Europe is business class in European flights. Club World is international flights in business class. And then, of course, once we get to London, we'll be in first class. So that'll be great on the 787 Dreamliner, 787-10, so the new Dreamliner. That'll be a great experience. So let's get over to the gate. They're boarding very soon. We'll get on board, and then we'll check out this flight over to London in Club Europe. All right, in true Munich fashion, we've had a last-minute gate change, so heading over to the actual C terminals now instead of B. I headed over to gate C3, where I found this beautiful little 23-year-old Airbus A319 waiting for me. It wasn't long before the boarding process started, and I made my way to my seat, 5F. Alright, on board. It's a surprisingly tight seat for business class. It's comfortable, but it's tight. I will say, though, I do like the little table instead of having the just a blocked seat. It's nice to have a little table here. This version of the BA319 offers 30 inches of pitch and only 17 inches of width in its Club Europe seats, which is the same pitch or less than an economy seat on the 319s of other airlines like United, Delta, Air France, Lufthansa, and many more. Those airlines also offer 17.5 inches or more of width in their economy seats. Even the so-called discount airlines like Vueling, EasyJet, and Spirit offer between 17.5 and 18 inches of width in their A319 economy seats. Keep in mind, we are sitting in a business class seat today, so the fact that the pitch and width is not that much different or is smaller than many other airlines' economy seats was a bit surprising. The seat cushion itself, though, was quite comfortable. There was also power in the seat with a universal plug and a USB, which was switched on after reaching 10,000 feet. I will say, though, this A319 is 23 years old, and it certainly doesn't look it. I mean, BA definitely has a very smart-looking product on the inside. Their planes all look fairly new when you get in them compared to some other airlines, so that's always good. And it is a nice, beautiful sunny day, perfect for flying. I'm so excited for this first-class flight once we leave London. You know, an interesting thing is I've been using BA's app. We had a gate change rather last minute from B17 to C3. The app still says B17. So if you're not looking at the screens, that could cause some problems. As I was getting settled in, the captain came over the intercom to let us know that the delays in security, which had made my morning quite hectic, was also going to impact our departure time.
Still waiting for around 20 plus passengers who are making their way through security at the moment. We don't want to leave anyone behind, so we're going to wait here for another 10 to 15 minutes or so before those passengers can join us, and then we'll be underway. So I'll give you the rest of the pleasantries soon, once the rest of our passengers have joined us for a flight back to London.
15 minutes came and went, and the first officer came on and talked about a further delay.
So we're still waiting for a few passengers, and we will be waiting for another 10 minutes or so before we then close the doors and get underway. So we're just trying to give everyone as much time as possible with getting everyone on board. Between obviously getting everybody on board and also having this slot restriction, as we if we were to lose that, then there might get a further significant delay.
Eventually, though, the crew did close the cabin doors, and the last remaining passengers made their way to their seats. We pushed back from the stand and started to make our way out to the runway on this beautiful and sunny day. It was such a nice day, that I'm deciding to show you the entire takeoff as we soar into the sunny Bavarian skies. It wasn't too long after takeoff that the cabin crew jumped into action and started a drink service in the business class cabin. If you're in economy, you can choose to purchase a meal using BA's High Life Cafe, which offers several beverages, hot and cold meals, and snacks. However, being in Club Europe, we were served a small meal during this late morning flight. My meal was, quite comically, offered as a meat salad, a term which I've never heard used to describe the meal I was eating. What I received was a plate of roast beef with asparagus and tomatoes, as well as a kind of veggie paste. To be honest, this meal was actually good and quite refreshing, much needed after my rushed lounge experience earlier. I also received a small dish with a dessert, which turned out to be apricot and not really to my taste. Meal consumed, the cabin crew came around with another drink service in Club Europe, and another after that. In fact, it was quite astonishing how much attention we were paid in Club Europe on this short 2-hour flight. Eventually, I could see the Belgian coast come into view as we started our descent, crossing the southernmost part of the North Sea. We struck land north of London, and pretty soon we were in a holding pattern over the heart of the city. The approach into London is always so amazing to me. The city is just absolutely massive, and there are so many huge landmarks that you can see from the windows of the plane on approach into Heathrow, especially on a day as sunny and clear as this. As we started making our third circle over the city though, I was beginning to miss having my feet on solid ground, and I was hoping we were going to land soon. After all, I did have an onward flight to look forward to, and the time I was going to use to enjoy the lounge was getting shorter by the minute. Eventually, we started our final approach and made our way down onto the ground at London's Heathrow. After a relatively short taxi, our plane headed to Terminal 5. I was very excited to start the next leg of my journey.
Alright, welcome to Terminal 5 here at Heathrow. Very noisy today, but overall a really good flight. The crew was amazing. The food was really good too. So we're going to try to find the lounge now and get ready for the next leg of our flight.
I headed to the south lounges of Terminal 5. Here you will find the Club Lounge, the First Lounge, and the lounge that I was headed to, the Concorde Room. So let's talk about that flight over here from Munich. It was actually really nice. I mean, the seat was rather small. It was a little bit surprising for a business class seat. Even for a European business class seat, it felt very small. But overall, the service was amazing. I was a little bit concerned because our service on the A380 in business class over here, if you remember from last year, wasn't that great. They were very short, they were a little bit rude. It wasn't full service throughout the entire flight. If you pressed your call button, nothing would happen. It was very upsetting. Luckily, the service on this flight was a lot better. Now, hopefully the service on the next flight, the first class flight, is even better. So now I think this is where we'll end the first video. It's taking a long time to get through everything today, so we'll see you in the next one on our first class flight on the 787 to Chicago. See you in the next one.